Manhood, brought to you in part by Reboot Sports Drink.
So welcome to another conversation here on Manhood, and today's topic is a big one, and I know I say that quite often, but it's with regards to health, men's health in particular. Some of the vagaries, some of the fears that men hold as a result of it, and do we want to get checked up? Why don't we want to get checked out? And what are the concerns that we really want to discuss, especially here today? So men's health, I want to get straight into it. I'm delighted to have Dr. Santi LeBlanc to my right, to her right, Dexter Nichols, to his right, Johanse Ayudike. You'd see him, of course, sitting in a different chair than you're accustomed to, and for good reason today, because we're really going to be challenging you, Dr. LeBlanc,
and Dexter.
And Dexter. And when I say challenge, I don't mean that in a negative way at all. Challenging you because we are indeed, when it comes to men's health, there is a lot of fear surrounding it, and we really want to unzip, dissect, go granular, do a deep dive, all the nice phrases to really discuss something that really is impacting men and why, and also the correlation between men's health and, of course, their relationships as it pertains to a woman. So you're holding two hats here today. One is Dr. LeBlanc and the other one is Asante, also my friend, to really, and feel free, this is a very open forum, even some of our discussions, because I'm one of those that are fearful about certain things as it becomes to health. So this is a very open show. I'm not here to hide in any way, and the only way to get a message across is to be as honest and truthful as you can, and to expose your own concerns and fears. So men's health, in particular prostate, colorectal cancers, we see it on the rise. It's no longer a 50-plus disease. We're seeing it in a lot of younger persons. So let's have a sense of one, talking about men's health, and then maybe some of the reasons why there's now, whether it be higher detection or just in general, not necessarily higher detection, but more persons are now experiencing this dreadful disease. So just to put in context again before, of course, Dr. LeBlanc being a doctor and having all the insight in there, I just want to give some context into Dexter being here as well. Dexter's a prostate cancer survivor, and now in remission, thank God. So we applaud your bravery, and of course coming on the show for us to have this really open and frank discussion in all forms and facets. So men's health.
Well, I'll ask with Dr. LeBlanc, that sentiment that men generally are afraid to check on their health, do you agree with that?
Do I agree with it?
Feel free to use me.
Yes. So what happens is that, we're speaking about the Caribbean man, right? Mm-hmm. I would prefer to speak about the Caribbean man. And so Caribbean men, for a long time, we've had a lot of machoism, and it's not their fault, really. I mean, it's culturally, the man was the provider. You had to bring home the bacon. You had to take care of everything. So a lot of things concerning health for men, I think they found it daunting, and they shouldn't be sick. You understand? I can't be sick. This can't touch me, and it can't take me. And so what happens is that as we evolved, men and women evolved, in the Caribbean, you found men, now that they understood, well, you can die and you can have an affliction by a disease, then they were like, but I'd rather not know. You understand? Because I don't want to be in Pampers. I don't want to be able to not to bathe myself. I don't want to be able that I have to be taken care of for any long period of time at all. You understand? So, I mean, psychologically, I think that's where a lot of men were. And we're getting them out of that now, because I think it's more, especially for me as a healthcare professional, I try to empower my male patients to understand that knowing is half the battle. Right. And early detection for especially a dreadful disease such as cancer makes your survivorship even more empowering. But men really, I think it's just the fear of being unable to control.
So there's that. Mm-hmm. And there's also the other aspect of which is fear. So not just fear of the unknown, not fear of we just don't want to know, but there's also the fear of the procedure to find out.
Well, that's Robert's fear.
So, which men fear share, and I still go through that. Where prostate cancer, for example, there are many ways of detection. Initially, it was you can do a blood test, then it was a physical examination, and there are many there are many different thoughts on that. And now the best way is both. And with regards to that, I would say that if you can to communicate to our audience out there the procedure, so that maybe people would fear it less, as to is it intrusive, is it not intrusive. I don't want to share my own experiences because I prefer that everyone and you know what, let's cut the right?
You cut it, not let's. You cut it.
Asante is here shaking her head because guess what, guys? I am still in fear, and I still haven't done it.
Was that the
right?
finger?
Correct.
The finger
I
test.
still haven't done it, but you know what? She knows I committed to this year that I'm going to get tested. But I want not just because I was fortunate to have Asante as a friend and we've gone through this, but to communicate to the wider audience and listeners out there what does that entail and why you should not be afraid of going through.
Before you go through, Dexter, you had any fear in terms of your procedures?
So let me first say that I spend a lot of time in the corporate place, and we had this discussion because I have a lot of friends that are male friends. And I would tell these guys, I'm going to get a prostate check, and I was in my late 30s, and they said, why do it now? Because a lot of young men feel that sickness attacks the old. Between 30 to 50, you're safe. You're in a safe zone. We're healthy. We're cycling. We're running. We're lifting weights. Sickness can't hit us. And therefore, the conversation was, "Hey, you want to take the finger?" So is it homophobic? Is it homophobic? But it is not the only way to detect prostate cancer, as Dr. Asante would probably give a little more detail. There's having problems to urinate, probably passing blood, feeling pain after your urine. So we have a PSA test that could measure certain amount of stuff in your prostate, but it's not conclusive. The finger will probably there to check to see the size of the prostate, if there's any swelling, because the prostate gland is very small. It's like the size of a walnut they tend to use. So it's very, very small. So men think that, the finger is the only way to detect it. But they self-diagnose. And because of men macho's image, that, are having problem to pass urine, or, are not getting an erection, or not keeping an erection, I can't tell my partners about this. And obviously, if this word gets out to the wider public, they would look and say, boy, he's a soft man, boy, he can't keep it up. So that is the main thing.
That also comes with age, huh?
But it's a homo, because, you're young, you're like a stallion, you know everything, but as you get older, you want to stay away from that. And you don't even want to go there because it's sexual. So a lot of West Indian men look at the macho image first as, hey, I'm a stud. And if I have these problems, by the time I tell a woman prostate, I do so, well, I'll see you later, partner. It's like that and diabetes, correct me. So I think that is the main issue. Now I don't know if much has changed. I still think that there is a big fear, and I've spoken to a lot of men in their 60s. I myself just turned 60 on Tuesday, and I've spoken to a lot of friends who are younger than me and who are older than me, and believe it or not, they've never had a prostate examination or never even did a PSA check.
So the prostate examination, take us through the finger.
Right.
Let's debunk all these misconceptions.
The misconceptions. All right. So a DRE, or a digital rectal exam, is where the doctor, and so people have this vision that we put you to stand up like if you're in jail and bend over and we just go badam, But that's not what happens. We have you in a position. So generally, it's that you're lying on your left side and your knees are flexed to your stomach. So it's a fetal position, right? You generally, as a physician, I tell my male patients, it takes much more time for me to relax them than to do the actual exam, because you want them relaxed. You want them to understand, yes, it may feel intrusive because I am going up the rectum. You understand? With one finger, no more than one, right? So I always tell people,
finger?
it's right. So I was about to say that.
She has small fingers.
I have
right?
small fingers, you know what I mean? So I tell people, you lie down, you relax. Generally, I mean, you have to, as a physician, have rapport with that patient. You can't just say lie down and boom. It's not a slap bam, thank you ma'am kind of situation. And because if the patient contracts...
Pun intended.
Pun intended, yes.
Is it a bit of foreplay first before?
I wouldn't know.
Guys, you're trying to debunk
That's-
things here. We're not making it.
So, but the reality is that the patient has to be relaxed, because if they're not relaxed and they contract their rectal sphincter, then the prostate goes up. So we will not feel it. We will not be able to examine it. But that's all it is. It's the finger going in, gloved finger with lubricant. So it's not just a dry finger
a
going
raw
up.
deal.
No, it's not a raw deal. And we lubricate and we go up and we feel the back of the prostate. Yeah? And it does not make you a homosexual. It does not change your sexual orientation. And it's for both hetero and homosexuals and bisexuals. It's all sexualities. Once you're a man and you have a prostate, it has to be checked.
Well, I'm glad you say that, because they say knowledge is power, right? And the more we understand things, the better we can deal with it. Because I think that, and for me personally, when it comes to medical checkups, in my younger years, not now, and that's why I asked too about the fear, because not only the prostate exam, because there are many other things. I know myself, I was afraid of blood tests at first,
Yeah.
right?
And
I
how
know
old are
many
you?
of my colleagues. I'm 39 years old.
Oh, okay.
So I know many of my colleagues were just afraid of different procedures. It don't matter what it was. It's not even the prostate. They didn't even think of that yet. Just other seemingly invasive, because some wasn't really invasive, but because you didn't know about it. And then one, which you added, the psychological aspect of it, which is it might highlight a weakness. So now I'm even more frightened. I don't even know what I might have, but just the fact that I might be deemed as weak, and then the possibility that I might have it. So it's twofold. And then now I can't tell nobody, or afraid to tell nobody. That's threefold. And then what I will do. And then some men even go as far as, well, next thing I can't provide for my family. Next thing I think. So time you come into the room, you have about 5 different anxieties dealing with, because one, I think, is a lot of lack of knowledge.
Yeah, and that's very true. So like I find it's important to have forums like this, but also, as brethren, when you sit down, and that's what Dexter would do, for example, with his colleagues and friends, you share your information, which you get from a valuable source and a reputable source. Because it's not easy. And it's not as only men, There are women out there just like y'all, but it's more men than women that go through it. Do you know how many fingers women have? Women have to get vaginal exams, we get rectal exams, we're prodded and probed all through our orifices. Okay. So, but what happens is, if we're going to give birth, if we have to do a pap smear, this is deemed something natural for a woman. You understand? For some reason...
for them to relax in a situation like that.
It's not easier to relax when you go into an unknown person, be it man or woman, and put in a cold metal instrument in the Netherlands parts. You understand? But because... we as women, I think we are much more open to getting these procedures done, and we basically grin and bear it.
Why do you think women are more open?
Personally, it's because while we may fear the outcome and we may fear the diagnosis, we also are providers. We are very altruistic. We have to look after our family, so we have to know. We also have to know. You understand? So I find, for example, I have female friends who might say, oh God, but I really don't want to know. And slowly you speak to them, but why don't you want to know? But it's much easier for us to convince a woman to have tests done than a man.
So we need to go to a break. But I want to use what you just said there, Asante, to segue into what we'll be talking about, or starting off the next segment about. So where's a woman is going into that as a provider, and that's usually with nurturer as well, in terms of whether be it children or that environment. The man in a particular case is the provider for overall, the man of the house or the breadwinner in certain circumstances for that particular family. So the fear in there is where the woman still thinks, you know what, my husband, my boyfriend, whatever, may take care of me in certain circumstances, the man himself might be thinking, listen, if I go down, who's going to provide? And the reason why I want to use that to go to the break is because Dexter has a very interesting story that is a concern, I'm sure, for many men and fears of many men when you think that partner is there for you. So we take a short break.
Welcome back to Manhood. What I would like to discuss is the support when you find that you have a critical illness, when you've been diagnosed with something critical. It may be cancer, it could be anything else. My case was one that I would have never expected to happen. I mean, my partner of many, many years, over 17 years, close to 18 years, when found out, said, well, prior to finding out, don't worry, waiting on the biopsy results, we will deal with this, don't worry, we're going to get through this. Now, those words are very affirming words to somebody. It's like your child or anybody. Once you put a hand on that person and said, we're going to deal with this, it means that we have a partnership. We have a group. I'm not on my own. And when the results came in, and I said, well, number one, getting the results. I mean, it's not easy for anybody. Let's not stay here and play around. When you hear that, you've been diagnosed with cancer, regardless of what stage it's at, there's panic. There's anxiety.
I think it's a death sentence.
Yes, and anxiety is when you feel your heart, your chest beating out. It's like you're having problems breathing. And then for your partner of all these years to say, well, I didn't plan on this. I didn't really set up for this. I think you should get out. You're on your own, And it really, you could hear it in my voice. I mean, going back, this is over 2 years. It really sets you in an emotional state that, oh my God, I'm now alone at 58. I'm at 58.
And have a diagnosis.
I have a critical illness. I don't know how I'm going to deal with it. What am I expecting going forward? Where am I going to find the strength? Who am I going to get the strength from? You find that strength within. First, you have to sit down. You have to reassess the situation. I have cancer to deal with. I have loneliness to deal with. I have to go through this. I have no one here to support me, no friends, because I wasn't open with everybody about it. Who can I call on? Fortunately, my sisters were really my rock, and I'm an open person. And then I started to find the strength day by day by day. After the diagnosis, you still have tests to do. Dr. Asante could attest to that. You have to go through radiation. It depends on what stage you're at. If you're far gone, if you're at stage 3, 4, and this is why it's important to know your body, take these steps, take the finger, it's nothing, because it's going to prevent you being at stage 2, 3, 4. I got early detection at stage 1. But still there's a Gleason score. So I had a very aggressive type of cancer that had to be dealt with immediately. And I embarked on it, and I had radiation. I didn't have chemo, but don't think radiation is a walk in the park, because I have to do radiation every morning. I had to get up, I had to go to work, I had to live, I had to eat. And then you have this thought process. How could someone just back off and leave you alone, to fight this dreaded cancer? It's like a date with the hangman, and then as time passes by and I had the strength, I had people in my corner. I started talking more and more about it with friends and colleagues. And then people started opening up and saying, well, I have prostate cancer too. I'm in early stages. What to do? And you're finding more that we have this conversation is the more men will not feel alone. And I want to say men, and let me clarify it, why I say men and not women. Women have a network of friends.
Most times.
Most women. Women, they have other women, they have their mother, they have other people they can talk to. Men, especially where prostate cancer is concerned, because it affects other stuff, they tend to be, I ain't telling nobody about this. So they keep it to themselves. So we have an internal fight going on in our head. Why am I here? So a lot of things are happening all at once. And we're trying to process it. So we're not sleeping. We're not doing stuff. We don't know. We're feeling anxiety. Some people may even feel suicidal.
That's a good point.
And you know.
And one of the things, Dexter, that you know, because there are a couple things. One in there is it's like a genie in a bottle. Once so in two fronts, I want us to have a discussion here going forward. The genie, when I use the analogy of genie in the bottle, is because once you release that, as I could remember with my dad when he was first diagnosed, he was very, you know, kept everything to himself. But then when he was diagnosed and he started to go through the treatment, I don't know if something breaks you. I don't know, because then you all of a sudden become where you now want to communicate, overly communicate in certain circumstances. And you want to discuss it with everybody, because as you start to become more and more of a bush doctor of sorts, because you go to so many clinics and you go to have so much tests and diagnostics done, that you start to understand more and more about what's happening with you. And as a result, I remember my dad going from silence to overly communicating about it. Anybody would listen. And even then, he was still being brave in the fact that he was suppressing some of the pain, the levels of pain that he was going through. So there was the manliness in not communicating the pain as much as he should have, but in terms of all the information that was happening. So I use the analogy of genie bottle, meaning like, you know, you release the kraken, so to speak, and then there's the other side where you're now seeing someone else, and where's that partner, that witness to your life, was there during the good times and is now expected to be there to support you. One, abandon ship, but two, the person who you're now seeing also has to see you still going through elements of the sweats, the pains and so on that you're going through. And do you find yourself now juggling between holding back that to your new partner and, you know, to be a man and you don't want it to see these things, and at the same time checking off your list to say, I don't want to make the same mistake that I made before because I need this person?
Well, you know, if, you know, there's a saying that if we keep doing the same thing, we're going to get the same thing we keep getting. Yeah. I think firstly, I have to come to the harsh realization about death. You have to accept that. You have to. You know, I was really, you know, like how some people homophobic. I was like, oh my God, I'm afraid of drunk, I'm afraid of death. You know, but in your own reflection, you have to come to terms with that. It's going to come. It's going to come sometime. But no, it's not the time. I'm not ready for this. And a new partner, you have to be very open with that partner. And I think in choosing a partner, a good partner going forward, we need to have this sort of discussions. And we need to have it openly and get buy-in. So, you know, it's not me talking, but I need to know where my partner is with this. Are you my wingman? Are you with me? Could you deal with this? This is what I'm going through. My new partner, I was still taking hormone therapy. I'd finished radiation, and hormone therapy and is where you get this injection in your stomach every 3 months. And the side effects from this will affect certain people different ways. Mine was serious hot flashes. I would stay and just, Dr. Santo, I would just bathe in sweat. I would just stand up here and just, like somebody threw something down my back. And you can feel the heat. So I always say, I have a good idea what women go through when they go through menopause, because I think I went through it for over 2 years, and I'm now in remission. I still get it. Not as often. Sometimes I get it like 14 times a day. So you would be sleeping and you'll have to remove the blanket from on you because you'd be sweating. And I had these discussions with this new partner, and we spoke about other things. And I would tell you something. Having the right partner in anything in your life, whether it be work, whether it be sickness, and having that right partner all the time, is a godsend.
So let's talk a bit about, because I want your opinion from, of course, a women's perspective and yours, Johanse, from the science behind it. The abandonment. The abandonment, not just to how Dexter feels, because you would have thought that with your partner for 17, 18 years,
Yeah.
right? At this in your worst, regardless of what issues you may have had leading up to it, in that particular state, now is not the time to kick you while you're down. And at that point to go, now, this is not a blame game in any way, because it is not a responsibility. We can look at it like that. But you would think that that person may be in your life. And it immediately, in hearing Dexter's story, made me start to ask myself, do I have the right checks and balances in place? Is it that men are now being in a position that we already have that feeling of not to be weak, to be strong, to be providers? And if that situation does happen, are we, for the most part, in a position that we can put things in place? How many people can pay for the insurances, etc., that will allow for you to be taken care of? Because the rates are high. So the average, out of 1 in 3, or 1 in 4, 1 in 5, whatever the stats are for these various debilitating diseases, it is going to come about on, at some point. And what do you do then?
I would start with first, and this is even to answer the question about the right partner. Being honest with yourself. Forget being honest with other people, because I believe one tenet of being a man is facing reality. Facing reality of the situation, wherever the situation is, because that's how you'll accurately provide and protect. Even for yourself. Forget you don't even have a family yet. For you to provide and protect yourself, you have to be in touch with reality. And if as men we avoiding reality, then we can't actually accurately prepare. Now, what I saying could be easier said than done, because it wasn't easy for me at all, and I haven't even reached there yet, because there's still some realities even in my own life I taken steps to face. But that's how I will know. We're going back with that premise, knowledge is power. If you want to have power over anything, to manage it, you have to know. So if, let's just say the stat says at 50 years old, you're most likely to get some sort of issue with your process, let's just say. Then you have years to start to put money aside. You have years. Now, it may never happen to you, but at least you're prepared. So this is not even coming from a family setting. This from a man. And then if I want to add into having the quote-unquote right partner, even coming out of this issue, not to digress too much, in my practice, one of the biggest issues that we men have is telling the truth. Telling the truth to ourselves, and therefore telling the truth to others, because we're afraid, what would people think, how would I look, etc., etc. So instead of just saying, today I'm feeling weak, today my stomach hurting me, nah, I'll go through with it. But the thing is, your stomach hurting you, it may be an issue that would put you down, and you still can't provide and protect for your family. So I would start with being honest with yourself. If your stomach hurting you don't want it to hurt, deal with it. If your head hurting, if you whatever it is, deal with it. If you're not fit enough, there are ways, because the beautiful thing about the human body that I understand in my experience is that you could train it. You could feed it. You could do the necessary things to make sure that you're healthy. It's not yes, they are predisposed diseases, but for the most part, if you put things in place, you could take care of yourself. So answering your question,
but you could have an accident. You could have something that happens to you, and it is the partner that you're building your life with. Is it that there's conditions around it, that the moment something happens, that partner then abandons ship, right? There's no sort of preparation for that. So you're going into a relationship. I mean, I know Dr. Bly not to expose her own personal life, but I can tell you that she's a devoted woman. You understand? And stood by her partner. And I'm saying that is it a case, and that is an expectation that is that should be had.
But it's really about, so like when Dexter first told me the story, I can't tell a lie. My knee-jerk reaction was, that bitch. You understand? How could you do
this
that?
Come from a feminist.
And that's me, yes, right? But then, I mean, that was my knee-jerk reaction, because I'm meeting Dexter as a patient and seeing what he went through and is going through emotionally, right? But then the thing is, it's very easy sometimes for us to say that, but we don't know what she felt when she heard that news. Where was she psychologically? You understand? So not all women would abandon him. And how do you know you have the right mate? You understand? And it's key that you have not even because you could sit down, healthy as ever, and say, babes, if I get in an accident, you can stay with me, you can look after me. And I bet you she tell you yes.
Right.
And I bet you the man can tell me yes if I get in an accident. But then when reality hits, you understand, that is probably the true mark of the woman and the man, because it's a lot. It's a lot. That woman has to take on looking after their partner that is sick and is in a state, thinking of death, losing the partner, and also looking at themselves and saying, I'm not saying that's what she was going through, but looking and saying, but what happens to me? If this happens, what do I do? It's a lot of layers, you understand? Now, the right thing to do, we are all sure, the right thing to do is to stand by your man, and for the man to stand by the woman if the fit hits the shan.
Just say something on that quickly. There are signs.
Right, all right.
Listen, he read my mind, you know.
There are signs. There are signs, my brothers. There are signs out there to everybody in here. And out of this, everything's supposed to be mutual, because leading up to it, it took me a year of finding out that I had cancer. It took a long time. And I'm not saying that I didn't have a good doctor, but the onus is on you. Because if you're feeling something and you're feeling uncomfortable with it, you need to talk to your doctor about it and say, Doc, I think you need to do a next test. But what I'm saying, leading up to finding out, my partner was never there. Not once would say, let me come with you. So the signs were there.
It was blaring at you, but you didn't want to hear it.
It's not that. It's
So
because...
did you leave at that point?
No, you don't leave. But what happened is,
The
had
signs are
he
there.
said, I'm seeing a sign and let me have a conversation to figure out if this is a sign or something else, the outcome, I'm not saying it could be different, but it may change. Or she might have leave earlier and he might have been that devastated.
The writing is on the wall. The writing is there. You know what is
and
going
that
to
part
come.
is the truth, and that's it, because when you're choosing our partners, you're going through the process, you would see signs of things, you know, right? It could be a small situation, my tire, I get a flat tire, right? And how the person deal with it.
But when you
versus
see
other
these signs, you really you think of that. It could be earth shattering. You ready to deal with it?
We don't want to deal with that.
So we have a sign, and the sign is that we have to take a break.
Right.
And that sign is this, right?
Right.
So we a very serious topic here, men's health, and we're talking about it not just in men's health, but in men's health. And we're going to delve a bit deeper into
Mental
stress and the mental health of men's health when we come back from the break.
Welcome back to Manhood, where we've been discussing men's health. And now we're going to delve a little deeper into mental health. Johanse, you said you had a nice definition for us.
Yeah, a simplified definition of what mental health is the quality of your thoughts, feelings, and actions as relating to your environment. So let me say it again. The quality of your thoughts, feelings, and actions in relation to your environment. So it could be something as simple as your environment is traffic, how you deal with it. Your thoughts of the quality of your thoughts, feelings, actions. Your environment could be your relationship, romantic or otherwise. It could be a household, it could be your job, it could be the sport you play, etc., etc. So when I say the quality, because how you deal with certain situations, there are always life stressors. Low life stressors, mid, high, etc. And if you're unable, because sometimes, even myself, especially I would say when it comes to more the evening time, when we have less energy, and we have less energy to manage our emotions, you get to see the quality of your mental health. And worse yet, sometimes it's happened earlier in the day, because you wake up to a relationship you don't like. Then next thing you have children in the relationship you don't like. You're going to a job you don't like. Then you have to jump in a car you mightn't like, in traffic you don't like. Before you even reach work, your mental health in a state.
So your coping mechanisms.
Yes. And sometimes people don't even have coping mechanisms.
Correct.
Because I just can't handle this. And they just unleash, or that's
Which
an
in itself
outburst.
is a coping mechanism, because by a burst, by you
No.
know,
No.
being able to unzip.
No, that's when your coping mechanisms are not working.
So I would disagree highly, because if in that situation, whether subconscious or consciously, someone, something's happening to me and I go, right? And then I'm cool after that. Or it stopped me from doing an action, right? That's my way of coping. It stopped me from doing something further.
All right, I see what you're saying. I agree, because if the outburst of a curse or whatever it is stop you from cuffing somebody, right? That could be a level of coping.
It as a coping mechanism. You might turn to it and say, hey, this is my way to diffuse that particular situation. But you
Okay.
But is it an appropriate?
That's semantics. That's up for discussion. I mean, what might be good for somebody might be good for another. We could have a discussion here whether we talk about women's use of words like manner lessons and
Listen,
Wait. Before you reach there.
let me qualify that, because you're saying whether it's good or not, right?
Mm-hmm.
One way to know your mental health in a good state is if you're able to process the situation and come up with solutions and do what is best for the situation. So let's go with the traffic, an easy one, right? I'm in traffic. I have to be, quote unquote, in traffic for the next hour to reach to my job for the appropriate time. Do I cuss? Do I skin up my face? Do I listen to an audiobook? Do I call somebody and talk to somebody I didn't talk to in a long time? How do I pass the time and deal with it? And if, one, you're not even able to come up with the options, you know your mental health in trouble. If you just jump to something, or the solution you choose is not the best for the situation. So if you cuss all the way to your workplace, right? We could start with maybe the first 10 seconds could be coping, but after that, you're in trouble.
Control. And once you're out of control, you're literally out of control.
Right.
And that's what I'm saying to you. But when you said coping mechanisms, and you my way of saying something, whether it be a swear word, and it was that's not necessarily a coping mechanism. I'm saying that it's conscious and subconscious. But as long as it helps you diffuse a situation or makes you less aggressive in a particular environment, if I cuss and I still run down a car or come out and hit a man, then it's not a coping mechanism, unless that is a further coping mechanism that would have stopped you from doing something even worse. I mean, it depends.
What I have done for coping mechanism is something has happened. So there's a flood on the highway. There's an accident. Traffic is backed up. Is there anything I can do? Really and truly, no. This situation is not in my control. It's absolutely not in my control. Could I try and take a back road? Am I in a position to come off my main route and go through a back road if there's a flood? The chances I might say, knowledgeable about the route, I might say, I'm heading east. If it's flooding in Page, it's definitely flooding in Caroni. So the old saying goes, I might be moving from Pfizer bad to Pfizer worse. So I'm leaving a bad situation to a worse situation. So my phone charge, let me make a WhatsApp call to somebody.
Well, it could only be late. You can't be late twice.
Because I can't control it.
Yeah.
I can't control the weather. I can't control the traffic. So it's out of my ability to control
your
it.
behavior and the way you react to the circumstance.
The way that I process it.
And that is the quality of your mental health.
But that is something.
And deal with it.
But that is something that, number one, we may be born with inherent coping mechanisms. It has to be nurtured from childhood for both men and women. And also, you have to look at restoring and rejuvenating those mechanisms because they can be eroded.
Yeah.
Now, when you speak of illness, right? Illness in itself has a psychology for both men and women, because there's a psychology, it's almost like grief. How many stages you have. And you're not going from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're going to go 1, 5, 4, 3, 2, and you go back and you go back and you go back. So there are a lot of factors that you have to look at. Now, we as women, I could tell you, we as women, I tell people we really may be responsible for what happened to men, because we were supposed to nurture y'all a little better.
Just up the audio there a bit.
No. Wait a minute. Because we do have questions. Sometimes we wonder, can a man ever tell the truth? You understand? Does a man really have emotions in some cases? Does a man feel? You understand where I'm coming from? Because sometimes we don't see it. Most times we don't see it from men. So I think that may be something, and I'm not saying it's a fault of ours, but it's a fault of both sexes in lack of communication about the feelings. So I may leave a partner because of a perception, miscommunication, and both our fears not being explained at that time. You understand where I'm coming from? I don't like to bash men. I mean, but sometimes really and truly you wonder if y'all were born from the same earth. You know what I mean?
No, remember, we're from 2 different planets.
Y'all from 2 different planets.
Right.
You from where? Venus or Mars? Which one?
Mars.
Well, Dr. Hassan, I'll give you a real life because I've been married twice.
Twice?
And I've been married twice. And I've been,
You see?
around
I've
the block
been,
a little
I've
bit.
been,
A
you
little bit.
understand?
But that is not, I've had relationships, obviously. You don't get to this age by, but
Like
But
being monogamous.
That is
But
my
I'll-
problem.
No, I'll tell you what the problem is, and I'll tell you the problem. You see the stigma associated with men, because when a lot of friends saw me and they said, "How is your wife or your partner or whatever it is? Are we finished? So what is you do? You have a woman or what? What is you do?"
Well, that's
And I
generally
will
what
tell
I
you,
ask.
and that is men and women. Because this society that we have here right now needs a lot of self-examination, because a lot of men are thrown under the bus. And I'm happy to have a show like Manhood, because this needs to be discussed more and more and more, because there's a lot of men outside there feeling, hey, we are alone in this battle, because we choose sometimes to have male friends instead of having our wife or our partner as our main friend,
As your best friend.
as your best friend. And women sometimes say, "Oh, leave it like the way you want to do now." And our behavior, the way that we behave in public and the way we behave sometimes behind closed doors, doesn't project that. So we ourselves need to change our attitude and be more respectful to people. And respect is a big word, Respect is just not a talk down to you. It's a simple thing like, if your wife or your partner put out the garbage, say, thanks, honey, for putting out the garbage. I really appreciate
But who
it.
teaches you that? Because we sometimes wonder what school all you went to? Like, where you all learn some of the behaviors that you learn.
Give me an example.
Okay, so for
behavior.
cheating is the biggest example. I probably shouldn't use it because that's
We
a
all
big
know
bag
cheat.
of thing.
I mean,
No, but she didn't say all yet. Let her finish now. Go ahead.
Okay, so let's say how you would respond to if your wife or your partner, your female partner, was more powerful financially than you, right?
Oh, he changed from cheating. Okay.
Well,
okay.
you want me to go cheating? All right, let me
That
go
way it
cheating.
starts with?
Why
Yeah.
why is it that men feel that they have to go around the block, that you have to cheat? And why you feel you have to do it? Because for us women, 9 out of 10 of all you're cheating.
All right, so let's first take
Where you
out-
all learn it from?
Let's first take out the word cheat.
And what we doing?
Right? Because you see that again, like manner lessons, like these terminologies.
What is manner lessons?
Men, and again, I want to say we're not speaking on behalf of all men. We are few men speaking to all men, right? So this is our opinions. And in discussions that I've had, and this is our 40-something or 50-something, this is our episode. So we've had many a conversation, in our own groups and our own experiences and our own livelihoods. When we hear the word cheat, it's not a word, it's not a terminology that really men use, because somehow men innately understand that in certain circumstances, that's who we are.
What?
That's
Wait,
so therefore again this is not speaking on behalf of all men. I'm talking about men I've spoken to.
Yeah.
And monogamy is not something that's understood to be natural, right? Nobody's saying it is
By
a science.
some men.
Correct. We're not saying that's a fact. It is just how certain people feel with regards to in the animal kingdom. And so it's not a matter of, don't start with the cancel culture and all the rest of it. This is just how people have freedom of expression, freedom of speech, freedom of this show, right?
Right.
So to say cheat is something that I wouldn't feel that I've cheated. I just felt that, hey, you know what? The moment came about, an urge was there, an urge was met, and an urge was dealt with, right? And then it doesn't take away the fact that you're not in love with your partner. It doesn't take away the fact. But then women naturally will come back and say, so what if they did the same thing? What is good for the goose must be good for the gander,
Yeah.
right? And no,
What if?
That's a whole other discussion. But you're looking at me as if I'm saying I'm condoning.
Well,
it.
no,
I'm
okay.
merely saying to you that the word cheat does not come.
And
into
when
the
I say
vocabulary.
around the block, it means that when I was married, I was married. I was married the first time for a very long
Next,
time.
let's cut the bull.
And the second time.
Let's be real if we hear someone talking now.
So that's the second time. So you might cheat in thoughts or whatever it is. But what I'm saying, a single man growing up, you have all the powers that you have. I mean
what?
Okay. Just now.
Yeah, tell me your answer.
Everybody free to say what they have to
Exactly.
say. You know?
We were saying before, a man needs to be honest with himself.
Yes.
Different men, including myself, want to experience life in different ways. So a man might want one woman, a man might want 10 women. So first you have to come to the realization of what you want, right? Mm-hmm. Then when you come to that realization and why, then when you're seeking it, the honest thing is to let the person know. So if I say I want 10 women, I'll tell you, hey, use number 1 or use number 5 or use number whatever
men
it
don't
is.
do that.
Right. So that's why I say the lying part of it now. Right? Because one, this is my opinion, and I am guilty of it also. Lying to me is not a masculine trait, right? I'm not saying it's a feminine trait, but if you're a man, stand up on your chest, right? If you're saying what you want, just say what it is. Now the person might, and that way you give the person the option to say, nah, I don't want to be part of that, or I want to be part of that. Instead of sneaking around, because it's not real men don't sneak around. You know? That's Trinidad, isn't it? Real men always sneaking around.
I disagree that as a Trinbagonian thing. I can't.
I say it's something that's happening in Trinidad. It could be happening worldwide, but and I would say that's because other cultures, some other cultures, the men are very open. Trinidad and Caribbean men, we are less direct about what we want. So and therefore, I even had men, I'll tell you, many men prefer to cheat on their wife or their girlfriend than tell the girlfriend the truth about something and fear of hurting the feelings. As oxymoronic as that may sound, I don't want the disapproving face of my wife or my girlfriend, because that's how many of us Caribbean men will socialize. So instead of saying, well, you know, I'm unhappy with the relationship, or I find you getting fat or something, I will not say that, and I will look somewhere else and avoid it to get away from the disapproving face.
But to clarify one
A
thing,
man telling me they find a girl fat, but when they get in a bare belly, they're still happy.
But you know, I'll tell you one thing. Honestly, I have always been, it's hard for people. I've always been honest in my relationship. In my marriages, I was married once. Twice I've been married, I've been faithful. In this relationship here, I am a one. I don't have time. I'll tell you something. You get to a certain point in your life, when certain things happen in your life, you don't have time for bull. I don't have the time, the energy, the effort to go out to sneak around anywhere.
But is this because of what you experience?
No, it is inherited. You see, most men are like crocodiles. A crocodile is an opportunist hunter.
Oh, okay.
It means that we don't go on looking for it. If we're in a situation and I think past, you can say, yeah, what's happening? Because crocodiles will go out and hunt men, you know. It don't eat people, it hunt there, whatever in the water. But if a man stand up too close to the edge, he gain like up. So I think most men, and I don't want to say only Caribbean men.
In every show, I always ask, you know, what your impressions are, or like what's your interpretation of a man. And in this case, we know a man is a crocodile. You know?
He's an opportunist hunter. He's a hunter. He's born a hunter. He's a hunter. But most men are opportunist hunters. Women are different. A woman will go up in a tree like a leopard or a jaguar and seek out a prey and pounce on it.
What?
And plan to eat it. Because don't sit down here, Dr. Asante. Don't sit down and feel here.
We're a leopard. How? What we pouncing on?
Hear this now, man. They say chop in water, don't leave mark. So women will stay in a tree and wait for the right thing and say, you see Dumas? He dead. Today he dead.
Well, is the power
and jump out of the
pee?
tree. Women plan to kill. Men be passing through.
But can I ask a question though?
Do
you think that when we look from years ago to now, have you seen any kind of change, positive, when it comes to men and how they are perceived by their women in their lives, how they're perceived by their partners by being faithful and being monogamous at an earlier age and not waiting till an older age to be monogamous?
But is it that women, just like men, men are very, simple creatures.
Some men
right?
are very
Some men.
simple
Like in terms of
creatures.
you understand, sex is very
Very complex.
He was going to say simple. He
he
was going to say sex was simple.
So-
and you now say that it's complex.
No, it's taking long now. So it had to be complex if it's taking long.
But I really want us to come down to
Mental
our closing
health and
and mental health and how some of these things, Asante, like as a woman, plays on a man's mental health and has a part to play. And even though, in your case, Dexter, where you experience through your illness and now in recovery, which is all part of a mental health game, you could, to help rehabilitate yourself, and what you went through you had a double whammy. It's really saddening to hear such a story and alarming and eye-opening on so many levels. But fortunately for you, God sends His best soldiers to fight the toughest wars in certain circumstances, and you were able to come through that because of your mental fortitude. But there are many people who don't have that, who won't have that ability, will be crushed by one, far less two. And what advice do we give those men who are fighting through that?
Well, I'll tell you something. You need people, no matter what. You need people. We need someone to talk to. Whether it may be a psychologist, men need to reach out and say, I need help. First thing, you have to recognize that I have an issue to deal with, and don't try and do it on your own. Do it on your own. It was never really made out to be that way. You don't necessarily need a good woman or a good wife at your hand. You need a good friend. You need somebody to listen. Sometimes all we need is a listening ear. Sometimes you tell somebody a story and they want to, no, listen. Just listen to what it is I have to say. And as you mentioned earlier on, your dad was just talking. He didn't want anybody to talk back to him, He just want to vent. The more we talk about it is the more we have acceptance with it. So I would say reach out to somebody, whether it may be a priest, whether it may be somebody that would listen. And you need to figure out who that person is. But we really need people. At the end of the day, it's really sad that we really can't do it alone. I couldn't really do it alone. What I had was the ability to look deep inside and come out of it, but I had help. I had people that was talking to me continuously, consistently saying the same thing. And when you go to your bedroom in the night and you put your head on that pillow and you have to sleep, you are alone. That is the toughest battle. Because when your eyes close and they open, you go back to the thoughts that left you, that put you to sleep. Because you go to sleep thinking about that, You sleep for 2 hours, you get up, and those thoughts are right there, staring at you. So I'm saying it's just practice. You need a good circle of friends. Keep talking about it. Keep talking about it. And when you're looking for that right person, I'll just give one message to all men and to all women. Look for someone that is mutual. Anytime we give something, we must receive something. We cannot give love and not receive love. So life is mutual. Don't let anybody tell you it's 80-20 or it's 50-50. Whatever you give out, you have to receive it. And if you're not receiving it in a relationship, walk.
Asante?
Yeah, I think, no, I appreciate what Dexter said, because I think it's also important for us to, both men and women in society need to change. There's no doubt about that. And we as women need to allow men to understand that they are beings, they are spiritual beings, and that it's a safe space to express your emotion to us. I think that's very important. I, for example, will sit down with my husband and say, for example, well, XYZ, how are you feeling about this? And I mean, of course, I'm married to a man who can communicate that. And I'm lucky and I'm blessed with that. But I think you're very right. But as Johanse said, your definition of mental health. So understanding yourself, being self-aware, understanding your mechanisms, your coping mechanisms, and more so not being afraid to reach out for help. So it's not about only the woman in your life or your partner in life. It's also about your circle of support that must be there. You know what I mean? Women, yes, we've been empowered over the years to be alone, to do more things, to get better jobs, but that doesn't define us. That's not our only definition. We still want to be nurtured. We still want to be taken care of. We still want that. But we also have to make sure that there's a backup plan. You understand where I'm coming from? So I think being aware of yourself as men, and when illness hits, be it man or woman, is going to knock you hard. And so you have to not be afraid to reach out to help, find that help. You have to be in touch with your emotions. And you have to understand, just as he's saying his father spoke a lot and Dexter said, you let it out and you let it happen. That in itself is a coping mechanism, and restoring your coping mechanism, because it allows your vital energy and your emotions to flow. And if that flows, you get less stagnation, and then you might not show that obscenity if something happens, because you're there and you're more balanced. So I think it's about, I know, we as human beings, both men and women, have to learn the new way, and that is the new support system for each other. We have to communicate better. And while we have a lot of ramp with Robert and so about men, women, yada, yada. But the reality is I really appreciate men in society. And I don't think that it's a big change that we as women are asking for. But what we would like to see is much better communication both ways, the highway. And you're right, it is mutual. You understand? And sometimes how men express their love is not how it's perceived by the woman. And that's where communication comes in. But a man has to be empowered to know their feelings and be safe, be okay. It doesn't make you less of a man to tell me today is not a good day. It doesn't make you less. It makes you much more attractive if you are able to tell me that, because you're showing me that you are feeling, that it's not just slam bam, thank you, ma'am, that it is more to it, and that is very important.
Sometimes
so I think it's
you're not
about
even
us
saying
nurturing.
thank you.
Well, yeah, but I really, as a woman, and this is no jokes, no BS, I appreciate and I have male friends, and I appreciate their discussions, and I'm able to change, and I raise sons, and it's about, can we please have that discussion and know that it's safe for you to express your emotion, because we're all going to be hit by something big or small, and we have to restore that coping mechanism and be safe, feel safe with it, honestly.
Okay, thank you for that. I want to thank both of you all for coming, right? Especially for the personal experience of it, and two, giving the medical side of it, because knowledge is power. And men watching, knowing exactly what is the state of your mental and physical health important, because if we avoid it, then it will creep up on us, and then we will be debilitated in a way that we can't even take care of our families, right? We can't even put something in place in time. So I appreciate it, and it changed also my perspective to make sure in terms of my own health. And thank you, and Robert, your closing remarks.
Not much. It's been said. Really, really good eye-opening segment yet again. Share personally what gets me through. My coping mechanism in certain things, through injuries and surgeries that I've had, is this too shall pass. Has been a big one for me to know that 6 o'clock in the morning is going to come. Whether you are there, how you're present is up to you. But that time of the morning will come. Seek help. Seek the right community for where you want to go. If you're looking to go east, no point going west. So seek the community that's going in that direction and join them. Seek that help. There are many, many places out there with regards to whether it be diseases, communicable diseases, diseases such as, dreaded diseases such as cancer. Screening really is important. And I'm going to take my own advice, and and get checked out. So, you know, it is better,
Should
you
we
know.
say thumbs up? No.
Yeah.
What time? What day?
Not thumbs up, not a good analogy
Fingers
at
up.
all. So, you know, finger waving at this. So, this has been another eye-opening manhood, men's health, not just physically but mentally. Your coping mechanisms are really important. Find that works for you. That sort of what's the word they use? That safe word that puts you back into reality to know that you will be okay, and choose your right community to keep making sure that you are okay. So, Manhood, thank you. Dr. Santi LeBlanc for being here. Dexter, Johan's always a pleasure. See you for the next one.
Thank you.
Manhood, brought to you in part by Reboot Sports Drink.